Good morning. This is Friday, December the 4th. We're here with Senator the Honorable Linus Rogers. Thank you for logging in to us at pnm.org.tt and our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/webpnm. Senator Rogers, it's been 2 years since you've taken up the calling to serve the people through the Senate. But I guess you're one of those members of the Senate who we don't know too much about. So could you take the opportunity to share with us what is your background? Where have you come from within the PNM family?
Okay, I'm a member of the Pointe-a-Pierre constituency pretty much all my life because I lived in Gaspereau and then Pleasant Park. Both end up being part of Pointe-a-Pierre. I have been probably since in the 90s, mid-90s, early 90s, I've been a background activist for the PNM, and in the late 90s I came a little forward. But my background has basically been in social work, going back as far back as late 60s, early 70s, involved in social work with St. Vincent de Paul through the church. And coming into the 80s and 90s, based upon what was going on, I saw getting involved in politics as an extension of doing social work, of helping the poor and the destitute within the community. And really that is really what caused me to get involved, so that I worked in the background. And for me, I prefer to continue working in the background. As a matter of fact, I'm still a member of St. Vincent de Paul after all these years. Still do Meals on Wheels for the poor on a Sunday. Still go out and meet the families, raise funds, do that sort of a thing, because that's really how you reach and help people. And for me, getting involved in politics and it's just about linking the government programs and all of that in terms of how you help people with the needy in the case. And if you look at St. Vincent de Paul, it's about helping the poor, regardless of color, creed, race, political affiliation, or just helping people, quote unquote, being poor. So you find that has been really my political work and continue to be in terms of that. The Senate is just an extension of trying to help in a different way, but basically that's where you'll normally find me on a Sunday and a Saturday down in the trenches. Down in the trenches.
So how has that transition been from being more in the background to being more of a frontline member of the party?
Apart from filling my plate a lot more, what happened is I find a lot more people, whereas before we normally go out and seek people, a lot more people come forward and approach me and ask me for assistance. You'll find, for example, one of the things I find a lot of joy in is when I meet with members of the public. As you will know, I'm a coordinator for Mayor now. Previously I was in Raymond and in Tabaquite. And what I have found is that a lot of people within communities not quite aware of what government has to offer, how sometimes to even help them their own selves. And there are hosts of programs for government. So I find myself, at least in recent times, getting involved in some counseling, pulling up on my HR background. I'm an engineer by training, but I've also studied human resource management. So I find that I've gone in a little bit of counseling and then pass people on to professionals, because it's not my core competence, but seeing the signals from some people. And you find a lot of people out there who have issues, but really have not been able to assess what it is. For example, let's take something. A lot of people come to me and ask for housing. And the easy thing to do is to say, okay, here's an HDC form, fill out one, and we submit it and see how we can help if any case. But it's sometimes in some little discussion with some of the people, I found people whose companies have programs for employees at subsidized mortgage interest rates to get housing. And they just have in their head that getting a HDC house is going to be cheaper than getting another option. And in one case that happened earlier this week, the young lady, after we had a little discussion, came to a conclusion that maybe pursuing an HDC house might not be the best option, and that the organization afforded her. And all that came out in about a 15-minute discussion about have you gone through the options you have available to you. Okay? She simply said, okay, the government is offering a house, then through HDC I will go that direction. Right? And to me that's where it matters most, where you get to people and translate what government has in store for how it might have impact upon their life. And to me, being in the Senate allows maybe a lot more opportunities for me to understand on my own self how some of the things that government is doing, the laws that are being passed, the initiatives, how they all link together, and translate it and how it might impact upon people's lives.
Okay. All right. So if we can switch now from your responsibilities in Senate to your responsibilities as a coordinator, I think you've touched on a few instances. How has that been overall? What have been your proudest achievements over the past couple of years as a coordinator for the Mayaro constituency?
Well, I've been in Mayaro from December 2008.
Oh, sorry.
Just about 9-10 months.
Right.
And so far the major thing has been in terms of getting water for people. I mean, the 3 or 4 main problems we have down there are water, employment, and water, employment, housing. And I was surprised at the demand for housing. Okay, and the fourth one, which is not obvious to people, is a high incident of young single female head of households. I shouldn't say head of households, mothers, where you have had, based upon what has been happening in the economy down in that part of the country. And in a couple of cases where people, based upon where they are, they don't have water, and in Mayaro in particular, we have had a number of areas where we have not had water. And in some cases we have been able to get, in one case it was a truck borne, in one case we got the water connection for people. And to hear people tell you that, well, for the first time in so long I'm going to be able to take a bath in my bathroom with a shower. You know. So that piece of that's a piece of it that I found to be very, very thing. The employment has been difficult given what has been happening. We have been able to give some temporary relief, but so far for me, a lot of it has been understanding the people in Mayaro and understanding what are the real issues that people have in the area.
And do you have a vision for the constituency for the next 3 years? Is there anything specifically that you wanted to accomplish?
One of the things I would like to accomplish is to be able to utilize what I consider to be Mayaro in its own rights. It's a lot of fishing areas around there. You have a lot of vacation homes, and a lot of people have homes down there. And on holidays, a lot of people going to Mayaro. And one of the things that at least I had some discussion with some people on is it possible for us to do almost, I can't remember the exact place in Barbados, but there's an area where you have, it's like an open market. Oysters, yes. Set something like that up in Mayaro so that the people there could get employment and create economic activity. Because if you look at the transport out of Mayaro, is very high. You come out, it's costly, so that except you're being paid fairly well, most of your your income goes in paying transport. So if we could create that type of activity, so that whether the oil go up or down, or whether the contractors come in or out, this, at least for those who are coming in for the weekend and coming to enjoy what you have in Mayaro, will keep the people there going. Right? There are a number of people have indicated interest. I know it's